Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. You know we love you up in Canada, but also a Big C. There's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, today is a beautiful August 30th, 2017, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south? Oh, yeah. In the southeast part of Texas and Louisiana, move on out here eastward where we really need it and they don't need any more of it, and all our thoughts and prayers still go out to those people, Charlton, and all the devastation that they've been suffering through. And also, Big C, I do want to just commend all the Americans who are helping out with the issues going on down in the great Southwest, the state of Texas. Now it's even hitting over in Louisiana, and as you mentioned, spreading out to the east, Big C. But what I think we've seen with our country, no matter what political climate we're going through, and we know people like to argue and fight about different things, but just give me your thoughts on we know it just hit New Orleans 12 years ago. You're down there in the South, you cover a lot of the Southern sports, and how are the people reacting to it? I know there's been a lot of trauma, but a lot of people still have good hopes. Big C, your thoughts? That these people down in the southern part of the U.S. has been going through, Charlton, off the Gulf. Yeah. And this is a hardship that's Mother Nature. Yeah. I've been very pleased with the response, especially the Red Cross, Charlton. You cannot say enough about the members of the Red Cross here in the United States. When you talk about true patriots, Charlton, these are people that are going out putting themselves in harm's way, Charlton. I want to give praise to the people who have been around, who've coming in and assisting from out of town, Charlton. We think about all the marshmen from down in Louisiana. Yeah. All the guys with the airboats coming over into Texas, helping out down in Houston. Because those airboats, you don't have to worry about the rudders getting caught on debris from underneath the water, Charlton. But it's just been a tremendous outpour from the citizens of the United States talking about help. But Charlton, and I also want to extend a thank you to Mexico. Mexico asked what could they do to help, Charlton. Here's a country where our president wants to extend the wall to keep people out. Yeah. And yet, in times of hardship in America, they're asking as a country, how can they help American citizens when we have a president who wants to keep Mexicans out of the United States, Charlton. And I also want to say this about the president. Yeah. He made one of the most asinine comments to the citizens of Houston, saying it's too bad what you're going through. It was no sincerity coming from this man, just making a callous statement, it's too bad. Yeah. Not that I'm going to do all I can as a president to help you and relieve your pain and suffering. And all the aid we can, I'm going to expedite, I'm going to cut the red tape, I'm going to make sure you have everything you need yesterday. He makes an asinine statement saying, well, it's too bad what you're going through. And obviously a lot of people, and we're just glad to bring it up, I'm glad you brought that up, that a lot of people from Mexico are trying to say, what can we do? A lot of families, they go across the border. They just like families come from Europe. A lot of Caucasian Americans, their families are in Europe. If something happens in Europe, they want to send money back home and see what happened. In the southern part of the United States, a lot of families come from Mexico. They come here and raise their families. They come here and they play sports. They support our sports teams. Even flippantly, a lot of them are Dallas Cowboy fans and Houston Texan fans, and they are affected across the border or not. And whether you're a United States citizen or you're a citizen of Mexico, I just want to ask people, at some point in time, can we stop bigotry and racism in our society, no matter where it comes from? And I appreciate the great people of Mexico offering to help, but I do want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C just being down here in Southern California over the last couple of days,
doing surveys at some of the sports teams down here. We know the college football season is kicking off. The NFL is kicking off. Coming down here looking at the StubHub Center, home of it's just even hard to say this, the Los Angeles Chargers. That team should still be in San Diego. I've been to StubHub Center before. They have the LA Galaxy play their soccer games there. I've also been down to the MERP down in San Diego. They've hosted several Super Bowls. And I bring that up because in California, especially Southern California, Big C is so diverse down here. It's not just about someone being, whether they're from the United States of America or if they're from, Mexico. A lot of people just consider themselves Americans. And to see so many people putting money into helping the people in Houston, and this is for everyone around the world that sends in money, thank you. But for the Mexican Americans that had to be kind of thrown under the bus by United States president, they're sending their money too, Big C. They're not concerning themselves with whether or not they're American or Mexicans. Just talk about the humanity that we've seen from a lot of people from different cultures and different countries helping out down in Texas. Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
This is what being an American is about. In times of need, is that we give. We take out of our own pockets and assist. J.J. Watt's foundation that he started when this hurricane hit Charleston has now raised some $7 million.
Wow.
And I want to thank the Houston Texans for having a heart, and even the Dallas Cowboys for participating in canceling that game this week.
Yeah.
So the players can get back to their families.
That's beautiful.
And that's what it needs to be. Ownership, at some point, you got to stop being selfish.
Yeah.
Let these players go deal with what's important. The game is just a game. But we're talking about life-threatening situations, and they've already found some 26 citizens of Houston that have lost their lives. And your hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to their families on all this devastation, Charleston. But when you think about the humanitarian efforts of people, not just in the United States and the state of Texas, Charleston, from around the world, as we talk about Mexico, which is a neighboring country that butts up to Texas, Charleston.
Yeah.
These people and the president of Mexico have said, hey, we're here to help.
Isn't that something?
Even without a wall or with a wall, we're here to help because we have so many people that are in Mexico that are from our country as natives and families that are there, Charleston. So we're willing to help. We're willing to give our part regardless of the bigotry of the presidency of the United States.
Yeah.
We just want to help in this humanitarian aid as people because, I go back a couple of weeks ago to Charlottesville, Charleston, and the president came out and said, well, there are good people on both sides.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any of the alt-right people, Charleston, extending a hand to aid in Texas. Through all this devastation, I haven't heard anyone from the alt-right.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon said, hey, we're here as Americans to help those that are in need.
Yeah.
The alt-right is not, so those good people that the president was talking about on the alt-right side,
yeah.
I wonder where they are today, Charles.
Well, that's very true, Big C. So obviously, for everyone around the world, we know Big C Sports is carried all around the world on various networks, and I'm proud that we have our own network. It takes just showing up and being consistent. So I'm really, really grateful to all the people all over the world that have decided that they want to step up and do something good for all people. I do want to talk about, our business. I think the broadcast business is the best business in the history of the world. And for various reasons. Number one, we get to watch people lay it on the line. We just got finished covering the great McGregor and Floyd Money Mayweather fight down in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada. In Las Vegas, Nevada, it has so many attractions. And for a lot of good old boys, I'm sure when they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, not everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Big C, I'm sure that some people have more luggage going out than they had coming in. Read between the lines for that, Big C. But obviously, it's a great city. And then being down here in Los Angeles, just surveying the Rose Bowl, looking at the Coliseum. Obviously the Rose Bowl played over in Pasadena. UCLA's campus is in Westwood. Someone still has to convince me why, if you're a college kid, and a lot of college kids don't have money, Big C, even the ones that go to UCLA, why are they forced to drive 50 miles to a home football game at the Rose Bowl when they're just about hopping and skipping away from the Coliseum? That's number one. Number two, seeing USC's facility down here where the NFL plays here, has played here for many years, also has hosted Super Bowls. A gorgeous facility, a little bit archaic, but I'm glad they haven't torn the thing down because it has a rustic history that have made it a kind of an iconic source for sports, not just in Los Angeles, but all around the world. And then Big C surveying the site up in Inglewood where they're going to build a new home for the Rams, a $2 billion stadium right across from the LA Forum. There's not people, I mean, there's so much money poured in Los Angeles. And let me ask you this question, Big C. Would you believe that a lot of the fans that are buying these tickets to support the LA fans, or the LA sports teams, they happen to be Hispanic, the same ones that had their lineage questioned by our own president? A lot of these people work really hard. They work really hard to put their kids in school and have the American dream, just like Europeans that come from Europe. And the Europeans are not called rapists and murderers. So when we have this tragedy down in the great state of Texas, everybody's helping out. So I just want to thank Mexico. I want to thank all the people around the world that are helping out. But Big C, do you see how big this LA market is influenced by Mexican support, by people coming in from Latin America? Big C, your thoughts?
Jonathan, when you think about all the sports teams down in the Dodgers, I mean, a third of all the Dodgers crowd is Hispanics down at Chavez Ravine, Jonathan.
Yeah.
When you think about the UCLA and USC football teams, Jonathan, they have a huge following, especially USC, of Hispanic Americans.
Yep.
So they're putting their dollars out at these venues. You talked about the LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, soccer is number one football, you know, in Mexico and Europe. So you know those games are going to be 60-70% fan base Hispanic in those games. And so when, you know, you have a president spewing such venom about these fans that are ravenous, you know, you think about the soccer game, the U.S. soccer team that played, the ladies soccer team that played in San Diego. I'm going to say 55-60% of the fan base that was in the stands in San Diego, which borders up on Mexico also. Tijuana's right there. These fans were ravenous Hispanic fans who enjoy soccer, who appreciate and understand the nuances of the game, Charles. And without their support, where would the fan base be for our U.S. soccer teams, Charles, men and women?
Yeah.
So when we have a president saying that these people are non-providers in society, that they only take, what did they take? They took their money out of their pocket, paid for their tickets and parking to get into the venue to support their fellow Americans, Charles. And so I really praise the Hispanic community, how they come out. When we think about the Latin players in baseball, Charles, think about the Hispanic content there in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But it's not just in the major leagues or the professional ranks, Charles. We look at our college teams that are laden with Hispanic athletes all over the board, Charles. So they are valuable contributors to Americans' economy, society, and social structure.
Yeah.
And so really don't sit there and talk about somebody, because I haven't heard any negativity about the alt-right.
No.
From the White House.
No.
I hear a lot of negativity, but when is he going to build that wall that Reagan tore down in Germany, okay?
Yeah.
When is he going to put that wall back up?
And see, that's another great point, too. Also, being down in San Diego, just traveling through Southern California, getting ready for some of the games we're covering this year, you have San Diego State University. They call the Aztecs. You have the San Diego Padres. Okay, these are not American names. They have a large following of people from Latin America. And I'm just grateful that we have. See, California's a little bit different. I know a lot of things down south, you guys kind of get lambasted for a lot of the segregated issues that go on down south. But I think a lot of when the sports business, people are just people, Big C. They just buy the jerseys because they love their sports teams and because they love their sports players. So obviously with everything going on, I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our Latin American audience, because I feel like being part of a platform that can reach people, I want to make sure that they don't feel, at least from what we can say, Big C, I want people to feel included in the American sports genre. They already are, but when someone comes out and makes negative statements about their whole culture, and when Donald Trump pardons a gentleman out of Arizona that is proud of racially profiling people, they deserve the same type of liberty and justice for all like anybody else, no matter what your skin color, your religion, your racial background, etc. And I want to make sure that they know that Big C Sports will always be a friend of theirs. And I want to get your thoughts on something, Big C. Today, you know, we talk about the CTE issue and how many athletes really deal with it. You know, guys that really have some issues now, even though they may not be in the mainstream. There's a gentleman by the name of Ed Cunningham. He resigned from ESPN. He's one of their top college football analysts. He was a member of the 1991 Washington Huskies football team under Don James. They played Iowa in the Rose Bowl, I believe. And they also played, I believe, Michigan too. But he played in the NFL for several seasons. He stepped away because he says he can't keep participating in a game where he knows that it's actually killing people. Big C, your thoughts?
That have affected on and off the field by that. I mean, you think about Ed Cunningham.
Yeah.
He was also a teammate of Dave Durison. Dave Durison was profiled in the movie Concussion.
Yeah.
He was a player who sought out help from the NFL Players Association and the league office
Yeah.
because of mental issues that he was having. Dave Durison subsequently took his own life, Joe, and it was discovered post-mortem in his brain that he had CTE.
Yeah.
He was telling people of the problems that he had. This was a former teammate of Ed Cunningham's. And so these things like that over time gets to a person's conscience.
Yeah.
Not just a former player, Jonathan, but a person.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about the devastation that we have from football that it has caused in the United States. I know CTE is the main issue now that's being talked about amongst former players. It's being talked about mainly amongst former NFL players, Jonathan. But
Yeah.
it goes all the way down to the Pop Warners and high school
Yeah.
ranks as well as college. But we've had so many devastating spinal injuries over the decades, Jonathan, from
Yep.
football. Football has left a catastrophic wave of carnage in its past, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And it's not being talked about enough because these are the hidden dangers of the game that you don't want to publicize.
Yeah.
You want to constantly publicize, well, we're making the game safer. We're making the game safer. It's almost like, Charlton, when we were talking about the notoriety of the players
Yeah.
that get negative publicity in the NFL. Out of the 1,700, maybe up to 200 is getting all
Yeah.
this negative publicity, and 1,500 are model citizens.
Exactly.
It's just like in this carnage of injuries that the NFL always have. The NFL always talk about making the game safer. Why do you need to make something safer? Because it's dangerous, Charlton.
Yeah.
And it's more and more dangerous than what you want to let on to be. It's like when we look at cars, Charlton, when they invented the seatbelt for cars. Why did they invent the seatbelt? Because
Yep.
bodies were being projected out of windows, Charlton.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they created the shoulder harness.
Yeah.
Because it was a crippling belt that was around somebody's waist. It was snapping spinal cords. So they were trying to keep the body in place. When we talk about these helmet improvements, Charlton, that they're making, you're only protecting the skull, Charlton, the cerebral part.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the knees? There hasn't been anything built to protect the knees, the Achilles,
Yeah.
the shoulders. These things are always being destroyed on a game-by-game basis. If you look at the preseason in the NFL, no less than 15 players have been lost for the season.
Already. Yeah.
For the season.
Yeah.
We're only 3 weeks into the preseason. So we're looking at 17 regular season weeks to go in the NFL. So how many people are going to be injured? It's not just a CT issue, Charlton. It's a safety issue.
Yeah.
And the NFL has to address more safety issues than just CTE, Charlton.
That's a very good point, Big C. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic event, you need sport and athletic insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century, and they work with Big C Sports, and they can cover professional athletes, your collegiate athletes, your high school athletes, even your mom and pop soccer league players. And when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. And so, Big C, I want to just touch on a few things today that we talk about in the world of sports. Again, being down here in Southern California, just touring UCLA, gorgeous campus in Westwood. It's just crazy they have to play at the Rose Bowl. I think they could work out a deal and play at the Coliseum. And I wonder if they'll do some type of trade with the NFL and play USC, UCLA, and the Rams as well as the Chargers at the new stadium. I don't know if they'll have 4 teams playing on one stadium. But they do the similar thing over in New York in the Meadowlands where they play the Giants and the Jets. They have the same stadium. I don't know if a college team plays in the Meadowlands, but I'm sure every now and then they'll have a bowl game over there. Do you think what would happen to the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, which is maybe as archaic as any stadium, but it's still a gorgeous place over here up against the San Gabriel Mountains in Pasadena. But would it make sense? You're from the Southeastern Conference. I think most of your programs down there, you guys have your own programs on campus. You don't have to send Alabama 50 miles to play in the stadium. Big C, your thoughts? Yeah.
You got to get more participation from the student body. And isn't that what college is all
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
The experience of college athletics, the experience of camaraderie around campus.
Yeah.
Student participation. I know back years ago when I was in college, doing the horse and buggy days.
Yeah. Yeah.
The student body, dragging themselves over to the arena.
Yeah.
To the stadiums. I remember sitting around as a student myself when a basketball game was going on, or a baseball game, sitting in such a tremendous experience.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed my time on the field when I was participating, but I enjoyed equally as much, giving homage and praising our fellow athletes on campus, Charlton. It's just about being a part of that experience.
Yep.
And until you can experience that as a college student and you can do it on campus, it's nothing like that. That's why the games in the SEC are so huge, Charlton, because you get the full, amount of students there in a stadium.
Yeah.
They're all there. They're not shortchanged. They're all going to be there as well as the ones that can't get in. They're outside, sipping a little, ice water.
Is that what they carry down south? I hear one of the better parties in the South is at one of the Alabama or LSU football games where they have a big tailgating party. A lot of people are already toasted by the time they bring the moonshine. I mean, Gatorade and soft drinks into the stadium.
That's University of Georgia. The University of Georgia is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah, you guys.
They call it the game. They call it a cocktail party.
And they play that up in Jacksonville, I believe, up in Jacksonville, Florida, that game. Big C, let me ask you this question. I'm out here covering the West Coast for the most part, even though we cover all over the world. But down there in the SEC, what in the world is going on with Florida? We talk about, sometimes you know how they blame the athlete, or they'll blame the coach, or they'll blame everybody. No one ever blames the president that hires these, the athletic directors who also oversee the coaches. They want to kick a player out, but let me just ask you this question. We know everyone has to be responsible for their own actions. But I think Florida, like 8 Florida players or maybe even more, may miss out on the Michigan football game. I mean, they're not getting paid anyway, so I don't know if it matters to them they miss out. But why are they getting in so much trouble? I mean, kids always get in trouble, but why now is it not being hidden anymore from the public? Big C, your thoughts? Isn't that the truth?
I think that's the terminology that's been used
by
coaches when they want to get rid of a coach out of a situation.
Yeah.
I think McElwain might be in over his head, Charlton, because you look at the number of players that he has lost.
Yeah.
Either through transferring, suspensions, scholarship termination.
Yeah.
So that comes down to the lack of institutional control. When you're suspending 10 players, that's not a small feat, Charlton. That's 10 starting, and most of those are starters that he had to suspend.
Yeah.
So, we just saw what happened with Hugh Freeze down there in
Ole Miss.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
I think this has become an SEC thing, lack of institutional control, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, when these coaches, you start blaming players, and you're not sitting there looking at these coaches.
Yep.
And you're going to have to reel the coaches in, not just the players, Charlton. The coaches have to be reeled in. And I know it's always going to be said, well, you can't watch everybody. Well, don't recruit more players than what you can watch.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
Don't recruit more players than what you can watch if that's the case. If you can't watch everybody, I know no one says that about a teacher in a classroom.
Yep.
You ever walk into a junior high classroom and you have one female teacher in there, Charlton, and you got 26 boys and 4 girls?
Yeah.
And you say you can't watch everybody? She has an eye of a hawk.
Yeah.
I praise those middle school teachers who sit there and educate our children and our grandchildren, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because they do a tremendous job. And they have them there. And they have them under control, getting them ready for that next level.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that a college coach who is making $5 million a year can't watch over 75 players when you have a middle school teacher, Charlton,
yep,
who's only making $42,000 a year, able to keep an eye on 30.
Yep,
okay?
That's a very good point. I want to bring up another point. We just talked about the great Art Briles, who was down at University of Baylor down in Waco, Texas, and how he had those issues, and they let him go, and he was trying to get a job. He tried to flee the country, go up to Canada, Big C, and the Canadian Football League, they actually looked at it and said, well, maybe we don't need all the attention. But there's something going on, too, in the world of sports where a coach can have a kid mess up and get that program on probation. Out here at USC, obviously, people still talk about the thing with Reggie Bush and whether someone bought him a car or not. I mean, people do what they got to do, but Reggie Bush was the one thrown under the bus at USC. Mike Garrett was the athletic director at USC when Reggie Bush was here, and Pete Carroll was the head coach. Pete Carroll went on to millions at coaching the Seattle Seahawks. Reggie Bush also made millions going on to the NFL, but at the same time, he carries that scarlet letter on his chest just because the people thought about, well, did Reggie Bush get USC in trouble? You got to look at a lot of people, Big C, who turn their backs when players are going through whatever they're going through. Urban Meyer, the great Urban Meyer up at Ohio State, the winningest coach in the Big Ten since he's been there, he had a lot of players in trouble too when he was at Florida. It's not like it's a new thing, but Urban Meyer is one of the most highly paid coaches in college football. But a lot of those players that got in trouble, and this is for you parents and you athletes too. And I'm not saying anyone's responsible for you. You're always responsible for yourself. But a lot of the players, Big C, that get in trouble, as you said, out of the 1,700 in the NFL, about 200 get in trouble. The others are doing great. These coaches can still go on and become a multi-millionaire. The average athlete, you don't even hear about those guys, Big C. Your thoughts? Tossed out, yeah.
Level that you have on these rosters, Charlton, is equal across the board. It's about somebody getting a break.
Yeah.
Generally, they have the opportunity to start. But when you start finding these coaches, for lack of control, if you start losing 10, 20% of your income, you have players suspended, maybe you'll look at your program a little different.
Yeah.
When you have these kids that are, unchaperoned, Charlton,
who
are told, they come here from a small town and say, you got to go to class, you got to go to practice, you got to get your homework done. Other than that, we don't care.
Yeah.
And most campuses have drinking institutions, Charlton, within a walking distance of the campus.
Yep.
If they just don't have one on campus, who can't create a fake ID nowadays, Charlton, with these high-class printers that you have?
Yeah.
They probably have a kid in the dorm printing them out for everybody.
Well, Big C, hold on. You just said some big... What's a fake ID, Big C? We're from the West Coast. We don't do stuff like that, Big C. Okay, it's not a fake ID. It's an alternative ID. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's funny, Big Z. Also the world of sports, and people want to say just the athletes get in trouble, but today we have Maria Sharapova, obviously one of the world's great tennis players, and she keeps winning, Big C. But she was out. She was suspended from the game because of some impropriety or maybe some fake IDs, if you get my drift, Big C, on her part. But fake, those are not real needles, those are fake needles, Big C. But the fact is, she's back. She did whatever she had to do to atone for whatever she did. But she can still go on and make millions. And this is for the knucklehead athletes that think that you're going to be treated like mainstream society. A lot of these guys, once you get in trouble, your scholarship is gone. They're not going to give you a chance to transfer to another school and become a multimillionaire. They're not going to give you a chance to atone for your sins. They're going to do the same thing they do to all the athletes. If you don't do what they say, they'll just tell you, go back home, we'll get another one. Big C, how can we take what happened with Sharapova? Even though she's a pro athlete, she's not an amateur like the college football players are. But she was suspended, but she was able to come back and continue making money. Draw the contrast, if you can, for these young college kids that think they can do the same thing that pro athletes can do, Big C. Your thoughts? Yeah,
all right?
Yeah.
But she was Madison Avenue as much as she was the tennis court.
Big C. Well, hold on. Bill, what kind of deer do you go to boys have down south? She feels like deer. Hey, your thoughts? Okay. I might go deer hunting more often based on what you just said, Big C.
She was marketed.
Yeah.
As we talk about the college athletes, you look at any position on a major college roster, Charlton, there are 4 and 5 deep.
Yeah.
So, and the guy behind you is just as good as the guy that's starting.
Yeah.
Generally. And so they will spin off athletes. And a lot of times in situations like before, and I'm not saying this is the case.
Right.
But they will sacrifice people, Charlton, and say, okay, we've cleaned up our program.
Yeah.
Because maybe even more players are doing wrong. It's almost like Jerry Jones standing behind Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
He said, well, I'm going to cut the guy that's falsely accused.
Isn't that something?
I'm going to cut him. Maybe that'll deflect some of this attention from Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
With this battery situation that he's been dealing with that we even have on video. There was no false accusations of what we saw Ezekiel Elliott chopping on video.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But they cut the guy that was falsely accused who wasn't the one that was shoplifting, just like when we see these college athletes.
Yeah.
And you talk about the rich history that Florida's always had. You can go back to Galen Hall when he was the coach at Florida.
Yeah.
When he was having problems, this was pre-Steve Spurrier. He had problems with players. Urban Meyer had as well, Chronicle.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's a reason for this, Jonathan. I know they've always talked about the University of Miami being bad boys and players out of control.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about that down in Gainesville with the University of Florida. And all you have to do is look at the history of players. Even Cam Newton was down there and got kicked off the team, Jonathan. Allegedly stealing laptops.
Yeah.
So this goes a long ways under all the coaches' watches that have been down there. And Matt Wayne is just the latest. And to suspend 10 players.
Yeah.
Before your opening game, Jonathan, you have serious problems within your program. And not just with the players, but with the coaching staff.
Well, basically, even if they let the coach go and he ends up going somewhere else to make millions, which can happen, these athletes that are being kicked off the program or suspended or whatever they call it, if they're good enough, they'll find a way to get him back on the team. The same way it happened with Ezekiel Elliott up at Ohio State. It's not his first go around, and again, we weren't there, but I do know this: for every broadcast platform that has a platform, when you think about defending these men that go around beating up on women just because they're good athletes, we know that women are battered every 20 seconds in the United States of America. You know, the land of the free, the home of the brave, that country. And they do it with impunity. They get away with it for the most part because a lot of women are afraid to call 911. You gotta call 911. If the thing that people are afraid of is being caught. A lot of the times they don't do this in public. They run and hide. They don't want to approach the judge, so they'll go get some help from a lawyer or from their administration at the school. And a lot of these good boys will hide these players. If you're a woman and you're going through that garbage, you gotta call 911. The one thing they don't want to do is get caught, Big C. How can we say that even louder and clearer to the women who are going through this garbage, Big C? Your thoughts?
The biggest problem is that society tries to embarrass the woman.
Yeah.
They want to make it look like she did something wrong by being assaulted.
Yeah.
That's the bad part about our American justice system.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's trying to find out who the accuser of Ezekiel Elliott is. Everyone wants a visual of her. You know, that's the sad part about society. People are trying to exonerate Ezekiel Elliott by potentially being able to tear apart this woman.
That woman, yeah.
Credibility.
Yeah.
It's not about that she was a victim. They want to be able to tear her down because the economics of the sporting arena is worth more than what this woman's life and sanctity is in America. And that's the troubling part about sports, Charlton, is that all the accusers that come along, and these women are not just doing this. I mean, Josh Brown got away with it for years.
Yeah.
Beating up his wife.
New York Giants.
Kicker for the New York Giants, being protected by the Mara family.
Yeah.
It was more important for the Mara family, the owner of the New York Giants, Charlton, protect a wife beater than it was to report him or even fire him for what he was doing wrong for women and society, Charlton.
Yeah.
They embraced having an abuser on their team. They honestly did. The Mara family, one of the godfathers of families of the NFL, embraced having a wife beater on their team, paying him millions of dollars, saying, well, it's okay, he's not hurting anybody but her.
You know, Big C, back in the day, there was a man, you know, Sam Jackson, I think, played the role, and he was the father of his daughter in the South. And I think Matthew McConaughey, he was...
A Day in the Sun, Matthew McConaughey, Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland,
Yep.
Sandra Bullock, Kevin Spacey, a tremendous all-star cast.
Great movie. And
great novel.
And that movie is a prelude to what's happening now. The jury wanted to convict this African-American man, you know, like Donald Trump wanted to convict the New York Five even though they were innocent. And he said to the white jury, imagine if she were white. And they would have obviously found a different outcome in the court system because they wanted to defend white lives. It's always been that way in the United States of America. So for the men out there who think we got to hide our homeboy or we got to hide our teammate, we got to help him keep him safe, imagine when it happens to your daughter or your girlfriend or your wife. Because we know the President of the United States will never speak up against sexual assault. He's one of the biggest perpetrators of it. And he bragged about it. So a lot of men feel they have a pass. But I want to bring up this point because I'm out here covering the Pac-12, Big C. And Maria Sharapova obviously got off of her suspension for, you know, I guess alternative facts with these needles that they found in her system or whatever. But this kid at Stanford, white kid that raped a white woman, he got less time for raping a woman than she got for, I guess, having fake needles in her system or whatever they found in her system. Imagine what that says to women. This is a white boy at Stanford, okay, an athlete that raped a woman who was drunk. And the judge gave him 3 months. 3 months. And what's he doing now? Nobody knows because they still keep his confidentiality. So again, we got to keep our women safe. Big C, just touch on that. Do you see the how egregious it is to have her do more time suspended for blood doping than this guy did for, I guess, assaulting a woman? Big C, your thoughts?
It's how egregious society is about protecting women, giving women equal rights and protection under the law and equality.
Yeah.
As you spoke about, this athlete, this swimmer at Stanford, when he raped an unconscious woman.
Yeah.
And he got 3 months in jail, 3 months and suspended sentence, Charles.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
Sharapova got a 15-month sentence for doping. Okay,
Yeah.
Now, this guy was doped up also because he was drunk.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But he was conscious enough to know what he was doing. He had his cognitive skills about him to be able to pull down his pants and rape a woman.
Yeah.
In public, Charles.
Yeah.
And only got 3 months, but they have shielded his life, Charles, and kept him away from the public. You don't see his face on a milk carton as a rapist. Keep your daughter away from him.
No.
But they're still talking about the Sharapova incident, Charles, because she was suspended for 15 months. 15-month sentence for doing something only to your own body.
Yeah.
But here it is. He's violated a woman in the most vile way that you can as a man. He raped her. He took all her dignity from her, Charles.
Yeah.
And the judge said, well, she probably deserved it. Okay? That's what he said. If she had kept her legs closed, this wouldn't happen. Even though she was unconscious.
Yeah.
And he had helped render her unconscious, the judge blamed her.
Yeah.
He blamed her, and he's still sitting on the bench. This is how so much of white society, Charles, and I'm serious, white society disrespect women in America.
Yeah.
That they give each other a pass, Charles. That the guy is more important than the woman. Now, anybody can go back and look at that. You can sit there and you can call Mexicans rapists and murderers.
Yep.
All you want. But let's look at how many white men in America, Charles, are raping women and getting away with it on college campuses and in mainstream America in the business and corporate world.
And that's real talking. So we got to keep it real and make sure no matter what's going on in Texas, keep your head up. Money's coming in. Help is coming in. Thank you, everyone around the world, for being a great help to the universities down in Texas and also the people who work 9 to 5, all the citizens. There's a lot of programs, sports teams that are trying to give, as well as some of the citizens. We have the Red Cross, the National Guard. Everybody's trying to do their part. And we just want to say thank you for the great people of Texas. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He had a slogan by the name of Rumble, Young Man Rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
What I'm looking forward to, and I'm so happy about it, is the Texans and the Cowboys cancel their games so they can hear the things that are more important in this sport.
Yes.
Let's get back to life. Let's get back to helping those that are in need, Charles. That's what's occurring. And I really appreciate that aspect of it. I wish the Astros would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Cancel their games with Tampa Bay, give them to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
And go back and help family and friends back in the state of Texas, Charles. Because we're talking about millionaires living the life of privilege.
Yeah.
And we're talking about those who had very little losing all of what they had. Because it's the worst devastation in U.S. history, Charles.
Yeah.
That stormed down in the state of Texas and Louisiana. Never in the history of America has so many people gone through so much devastation at one time. And so the country needs to come about. I understand sports is great and galvanizing. We need to get a president with some resolution and some sense when he opens his mouth to help these people. But I'm thankful for the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys for canceling their game because it wasn't important when it comes to the overall life in America.
That's a very good point to make. So as we always tell you, as we travel all throughout the country with Big C Sports, bringing everything to you, we're going to keep it real. And you can follow Keeping It Real every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We want to say, every person out there listening, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. There's never, ever any reason to put your hand on a woman. If you know anyone going through that garbage, just call 911 because no woman should have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.